Hello everybody and welcome back to episode 10 of our Force India career mode here on Motorsport Manager using the ICE mod, or should I say the second attempt to record this episode. This episode has been annoying. I recorded it, I got it all nicely done and thought it was going to be a good episode, and then I stopped the recording and nothing had recorded, so I'm going to have to do this race all over again, and it was actually a pretty decent result for us last time, so I'm going to be a bit annoyed if we don't do something similar. Now, going through what's happened since we last met, as you can see, we have a very low bank balance. I have been upgrading the headquarters, as I said I was going to do. We are now building a handling development centre and a telemetry centre. I just thought, getting the headquarters set up, I've said this a few times this series, using this season as a season to build upon, essentially. Get the headquarters in place, get the drivers nice and trained up, hopefully find some better staff come the end of the season maybe, but just get everything in place for next season where we can make a real challenge of it. Apart from that, though, nothing else has really been going on. We've done a little bit of upgrading, but not a huge amount, mostly improving reliability of the parts. So, without wasting any time, actually, I'll go over, if you missed last episode, I'll go over what happened last episode. So, in the British Grand Prix, we managed to finish 5th and 8th, technically our home Grand Prix. I don't know if it actually counts as our home Grand Prix or not, but 5th and 8th, which is a decent points tally, helped us keep ahead of Williams in the Constructors' title. So, hopefully we can carry that on for this race. We'll go through setting up our sponsors and everything. We are in Belgium today, I forgot to mention that. The Ardennes Grand Prix, low tyre wear, high fuel burn, crucial parts, top speed, low speed and acceleration. Well, we have a very good engine and a good front wing as well. So we're in decent shape, I think, for this race. We should be in for a good result. Going with BWT as our main sponsor, as always, we usually finish 8th or above. Tyre selection, because it's low tyre wear, I am going to take a few more extra sets of soft tyres. I feel like we can probably run a few more in the race. Actually, we'll take one off soft, and we'll take two soft... No, actually, we'll just take two soft tyres. I never use them anyway. In fact, I don't think even there's any point taking them, so we're not going to take any soft tyres. We're going to take one set, sorry, because we have to take one set. We're probably not going to use them, though. And actually, we put another set of softs, just so we have plenty of tyres for qualifying. In terms of parts, I don't think we have anything that needs adding. Let me have a quick look. We do have one part, but technically it's not any better than the part that Sergio Perez has already. It is an epic part, so it will be better eventually with some work. So I think we'll actually give that to Esteban Ocon, because it's not better than his, but it's better than what Ocon has already. So it's a slight improvement for him, which will hopefully help. And we can see how this epic part works for us in the race. So I think that's everything set up. As always, I'll go off and do practice and qualifying, come back for the race and tell you what's been happening through the weekend. So I'll see you in just a second. So here we are, ready for the race here in Belgium. As always, I'll go through the starting grid in just a second. In the background, I'll be setting all the knowledge we need. We're going to have medium tyres and race trim as per usual. That's kind of our usual knowledge setup. I feel like it helps us the most. We do, of course, have to start on the tyres we qualified in. But that gives you a little clue, the fact that Esteban Ocon's tyres are locked in. Of course, we'll be starting an attack and overtake as usual. Try and get the best start possible we can. But in terms of practice, we were very good. We were actually first and second, but that's because we did our qualifying runs at the end when the track was at its best and everyone else was doing sort of longer race simulations, so I can't really read too much into that. But in terms of qualifying, Lewis Hamilton starts on pole, Sebastian Vettel second, Valtteri Bottas third, Kimi Raikkonen fourth, Daniel Ricciardo fifth, Max Verstappen sixth, absolutely no surprise to anyone, Sergio Perez seventh, Felipe Massa eighth, Lance Stroll in ninth, and there we go, Esteban Ocon in 10th place. He's got through to Q3. Can't remember the last time he did, to be honest. I've drawn a blank on whether he's actually reached Q3 before, but definitely hasn't recently, so a really good performance from him to get in there. Would have actually been fairly nice, unfortunately, for him to start maybe 11th, because I was going to try a different tyre strategy with him and try and do something like what Kvyat's doing, or all these guys behind, start on the medium tyres and go long into the race. So, a little bit annoying from that perspective, but he's in the top 10, so I can't complain about that. Now, all our setups are pretty good. Excellent, excellent, and great for Perez, and great, great, excellent for Esteban Ocon. So I'm feeling good about this race. As always, if we finish 8th or above and get that sponsor objective, I'll consider it a successful race. So, without wasting any time, we'll get straight into it. We'll, of course, be following Perez off the start, as he is our lead driver. See how we get on here. Switch the batteries to automatically. They can use it when they want. And we're off. Is it a good start? Not particularly for Perez, but Lance Stroll got a good start, but he got stuck behind Perez, so he couldn't actually make up any ground. We will speed it up as usual, but both the Williams just charged through us then. Verstappen's not had the best start either, but we've dropped down to 9th place now. 9th and 10th for both our cars. Ocon's dropped back as well to 12th. This has been a pretty poor start from us, to be honest. Stroll is up to 3rd place. I'm not quite sure how he's managed that, to be honest. Managed to squeeze and phase through the middle of us. We managed to do the same there to a Red Bull and a Ferrari, so we're up to 5th place, which is a bit more like it. Ocon's managed to climb up to 10th place as well, which is good. So we're kind of slowly moving our way back forward. Ocon's where he started. Perez has gained 2 places so far. Right behind Lance Stroll. Could possibly make a move on him here. Down the inside, not quite. Managed to block off the inside well. Ocon's gained another place as well. And luckily for us, a couple of guys are actually getting stuck behind slower cars. So Verstappen's dropped behind Ocon now. Hulkenberg's ahead of Ocon though. Okay, Ocon just got past Hulkenberg. Perez up to 5th place. Nearly got overtaken by Raikkonen there. We can't run this setup, sort of these settings for too long though. We don't want to waste away these tyres too quickly. We do want to go as long as we can on them. Not too long, but we don't want to just do a couple of laps on them and then switch. We want to see how long we can get into the race on them. So I think at the end of this lap, we'll start to turn things down. In fact, other drivers are already doing that, so I think we'll do the same. Go for neutral and medium for both drivers. Tyres holding up well. They're not overheating at all, which is good to see. Ocon's up to 7th now. Really good start now for him. Had a bit of a bogged down moment in one of the corners, but managed to climb his way back up the grid a little bit here. Yeah, I don't know what happened to my voice there. So yeah, 5th and 7th. That's pretty good so far. We need to hold these positions though and keep up as much as we can. Verstappen's dropped quite far back, as has Massa. So at least we've got 2 cars slightly out of the way for now. Massa especially, he's stuck behind Alonso on those medium tyres, which is really going to hurt his race. There's a big gap now between Vettel and Lance Stroll, between 3rd and 4th. So that's Bottas even. Vettel is there. So it's about a 5-second gap now, or whatever that is in maths terms. But Perez right behind Stroll. Can he make the move here? Not quite. Zoomed out a really bad moment there. Sorry about that. So yeah, we're still stuck behind. We may have to use battery at some point just to get past him so he doesn't hold us up too much and cost us in the next stint, because at the moment, apart from the front 3, the grid is very close together. So if we pit now, we're going to be stuck in all sorts of traffic. In traffic we really could do without. Ocon drops to 8th place, but you know, it's Daniel Ricciardo and Max Verstappen. They are in the Red Bulls, which are faster. I'm actually going to use Perez's battery down this straight. See if we can get past Lance Stroll into the first corner. Looks for the move. Manages to get past him there. Finally past him, which is a really good move for us. Of course, now we don't have battery, so we are vulnerable to that. But Stroll not looking the quickest at the moment. Hopefully now we've cleared him, we can start to move ahead. Ocon dropping down the grid. He's down to 9th place. Down to 10th place. Battling with Hulkenberg. We may need to use his battery as well. They don't seem very good at using battery on this track. I noticed that the first time I recorded this episode. I never actually mentioned it in that episode, by the way. We actually got a 6th place, but unfortunately Ocon crashed. So it'd be interesting to see now what happens if both cars finish this race, because we didn't get that the first time. But yeah, it's really annoying I've had to record this again, but I'd rather record it again than just kind of skip on to the next race and leave you with no knowledge of what's been happening. A couple of guys turning up their engines now, straight back down as well. They seem to change their engines very quickly. I tend to do them in blocks, so I'll run a stage of the race in overtake, stage of the race in neutral and things like that, rather than switching between sectors, which probably is a better idea, to be honest. But we still managed to get good results, so I don't think it's too much of an issue. Bit of a shame Ocon's dropped down to 10th. I mean, it will still be points, of course, if he can finish there, but he was looking quite good at the start of the race. We actually might tell him to push slightly harder than Perez, just to try and keep up with Hulkenberg and Verstappen and Raikkonen now. Ricciardo's coming up the grid quite quickly, so he's probably our biggest threat at the moment. Lance Stroll is dropping away, as I kind of suspected, which is really good news for us. It's going to help us in the pit stops if we can hold up the rest of the grid, essentially. But at the moment, it looks like anywhere we come out, we're going to get into traffic, unless we can squeeze between sort of Ericsson and Carlos Sainz, which is a big gamble because they are still fairly close together. And the ideal gap is between Alonso and Magnussen, but we're not far enough ahead yet to do that. How long will the pit stop take? I think it's about 20 seconds. Let's just have a quick check. So if we pitted now for new tyres on a fast strategy, we'd come out in 12th place. Oh, so we would be ahead of Magnussen. Oh, that's interesting. That is very interesting, actually. So we would actually be able to fall out into that little gap between Alonso and Magnussen at the moment. We need to keep our pace up and keep pushing as hard as we can. It's not the biggest gap in the world, and we would be relying on a fast pit stop, which I don't really want to do. I want to keep it a bit more safe and balanced rather than risking the pit crew messing up. So we need to just keep on going and trying our best. That sounds really patronising to the team. Try your best and everything will work out. No, we need to keep pushing hard to try and just get a gap somewhere. There are a few gaps in the grid, although that one with Alonso and Magnussen seems to have closed up slightly. And the problem is that we're going to be dropping behind cars on medium tyres, so they're not going to dive straight into the pits. They're going to be looking to go quite long into the race, so that's the danger you run when you're one of these kind of midfield cars who's perhaps a bit further ahead than they should be, because, you know, if we were down in, say, 8th and 9th or something like that, we may be able to drop into a nice gap. Because we're in 4th place, It's put us in a really weird situation in terms of where the gaps are developing. That gap between Alonso and Magnussen is only 4 seconds now, so we're going to drop behind traffic no matter what. Got a nice healthy lead over that group though, so maybe if we can get, say, ahead of Alonso, that would be ideal because Massa's on soft tyres as well, so he's going to be pitting soon anyway. So try and run Perez. We're actually going to turn his engine and tyre usage down a bit. Same with Ocon because his tyres are nearly done for. I want to go a couple more laps if we can. Because if we could get out just behind Massa, Massa needs to pit as well. So basically, is that gap to Alonso we need to watch? I'm not quite sure we've got a big enough gap yet, but hopefully next few laps we can start to build it. I think I'll use battery down here and actually on this straight as well, just to try and get some speed going through there. Same with Ocon, we'll use it at some point. Let's follow Ocon for a little bit. He seems to be in a bit more action than Perez at the moment. Perez is kind of in no man's land. Stuck behind Nico Hulkenberg. Hulkenberg having a good race, which is a bit unfortunate for us to be honest. Would be nice to be able to get past him. He's in the slower car, but doing well so far. Ocon's tyres are pretty much gone, so I think we're going to have to pit him next lap. In fact, we'll call him in now, and we'll put on some medium tyres, I think. Go for a nice medium stint to try and... No, actually, because we're going to be stuck in traffic, I think we'll go for a set of super softs and sort of push them as hard as we can. We're going to go for a fast one? No, we'll go for a balanced pit stop as usual. Safe one, probably not the best idea. In fact, no, we'll go... It's 2 seconds worth of time for 10% less risk. We'll go for a safe one for Ocon, because he's a bit further back. We'll tell him to push and attack and overtake on his tyres as well. Wear out the rest of them, get the most pace he can out of them for this last lap. Hopefully that will allow him to get a good little gap somewhere. But going for the soft tyres now, because while he's stuck in traffic, it'd be good to be on the better tyres, so hopefully we can overtake cars quite quickly. Whereas Perez we may look to do a one-stop with. There's only 28 laps remaining, and the medium tyres will definitely do that distance. For Perez, though, it is just an issue of finding a good gap to drop him in. Massa has pitted, so there is that potential gap behind Alonso, or just ahead of Alonso maybe. Ocon comes out actually into some decent space there, behind Jolie and Palmer, who is also on soft tyres. So it's Alonso and Magnussen ahead of us on medium tyres. So that's worked out pretty well for Esteban Ocon. Ricciardo's past Stroll now, so he's going to be catching up with us if he can. Perez's tyres are nearly done with as well. We'll give him one more lap, full attack and overtake again. But he'll come straight onto some medium tyres because I think we're going to be able to get a reasonable gap with him. We'll go for... either way, it looks like we're going to be 9th place, so... We'll go for a balanced pit stop, though. I don't want to cost him too much time if we can help it. Full attack and overtake, as I said. Get him as far ahead of any potential gaps as we can. Ocon has got past Jolie and Palmer, so now he's moving up behind the guys on medium tyres, and we should have a sizable pace advantage over him. Hopefully. So Ocon's not going to be able to run like this for too long. In fact, we'll turn his engine down now and just let him push on those tyres. And then later on in the race, he'll probably stop for either a set of softs or maybe mediums. It was a decent pit stop for Perez there as well. Dropped into a reasonable gap behind Raikkonen, who needs to pit. In fact, everyone ahead of Perez at the moment needs to pit, so this could have worked out really well for us. In fact, that's Lance Stroll right there, so we've really not lost any time. We're right up behind Raikkonen already, so that might have been a very good pit stop for Sergio Perez. He's got Alonso behind him who needs to pit as well eventually on those medium tyres. Bottas is in the pits. We're not going to be able to catch him, of course. He's way too far ahead of us. Right behind Raikkonen, though, so close to overtaking him, which would be ideal for us. Massa's had a poor pit stop. He's down in 19th place. Stroll's finally pitted as well. Ocon is now ahead of him and pushing those tyres. He's overheating his tyres, though, so I'm going to have to go neutral. Perez locked up, which isn't good. We're going to tell him to turn everything down for now, because really he just needs to get to the end of the race. That's his job at the moment, whereas Ocon does need to... Wow, he got past Raikkonen easily. That's the effect of worn tyres for you. We just breezed past him. Not Tyler Breeze, just breeze. So Ocon 11th place now, just Magnussen ahead of him, who's going to cause some problems on those medium tyres. Alonso a little bit further ahead, so looking good for Ocon at the moment. He could be looking at sort of... He does need to pit again, though, unfortunately, whereas a lot of guys will be going till the end right now. Where's Raikkonen? Raikkonen's right down. He's had a poor pit stop as well. 20th place, lost loads of time. We'll jump back to Perez, because I think the cars ahead of him will be pitting any moment now. In fact, if Hulkenberg isn't, we'll use this battery on the back straight, try and at least close up to him or overtake him if we can, as soon as possible. Don't want to waste any time stuck behind him or waste tyres by battling him. But Perez should be able to comfortably get to the end of the race on this set of tyres. May have to do a bit of tyre saving at the end because of that lock-up he had, but for now, we're alright. Ocon is right behind Kevin Magnussen now. Should be able to overtake him. Again, we'll use battery on the pit straight if we can to overtake. We'll use it now, coming off these corners. Should be able to get past him in the first corner, not quite. Probably a poor use of battery there, and I think I used it a bit too early. Perez up to 5th place now, just where he was, right behind Ricciardo. Well, actually a bit of a way behind Ricciardo, but Ricciardo, of course, needs to pit. And a couple of these guys on soft tyres, not sure if they can get to the end on them. I think they should be able to, but it's going to be interesting to see. And Verstappen is stuck behind Alonso, who still needs to pit as well. Well, he doesn't need to pit, but it's unlikely he's doing a one-stop from here. Can we jump Ricciardo? He's going to have the shorter run from the pit lane. It's going to be close. We just get out ahead of Ricciardo, but I'm sure Ricciardo will be right behind us any moment now on those faster tyres. Ocon doing a decent job in 9th place, still behind Kevin Magnussen, of course, and he's going to have to pit at the end. But you don't have to use 2 types of tyres. I think we established that. You don't even need to pit. So realistically, Ocon could come out onto another set of super softs if these tyres last, which they are doing at the moment. So he could do 3 stints of super softs and just go as fast as he can. Ricciardo, as I said, right behind Perez already. Verstappen's got past Alonso. So potentially, if these Red Bulls are as quick as they are usually, then we may end up with a 6th place here, which would be our customary finishing place. And I think it'd be fair, considering that's where we finished first time around this race. So I don't think there'd be too many issues with that. Ocon not quite making the progress I was expecting. I thought he would be past Kevin Magnussen by now. Right behind him. I'm going to tell him to go full attack and overtake until he's past Magnussen, because Magnussen's really the kind of the cork in the bottle here for Ocon. He's still got a decent tyre life left, so he should be able to go quite quick. But he's just stuck behind Magnussen on those medium tyres. Alonso not too far ahead of him. And it would be nice to get past these guys before they pit, because then we should be able to come out ahead of them. Unless they get the undercut on us. Ocon finally... Oh, so close. Can he get around the outside? Not quite. Those were some very awkwardly placed trees. Kind of blocked my vision. Right behind him now. We don't really have much battery, but we might use it on the pit straight anyway. We'll try and use it to burst off the last corner. No, still can't catch him. That Haas is getting very annoying. Magnussen, you know, I've had it a few times this series where he's been able to hold positions quite well, so obviously very good at defending places. So that's what we're experiencing right now. Perez complaining he doesn't have enough heat in his tyres, so we're going to tell him to push for a few laps, try and get heat back. He's also got a lot of fuel, so we'll put him on a high fuel load as well. Ocon complaining of the opposite. He's saying his tyres are wearing out too quickly. Right behind Magnussen. Surely we're going to get him this lap. Surely we're close enough now. Go to the inside, Ocon. Gets round to the inside. Can he hold the place? He does, so hopefully now we can pull away. I'll leave him on attack and overtake just for a few laps. Or a few corners even. Closing up behind Alonso. We'll go neutral and medium. He has got a lot of fuel to save in the last stint, which is a bit unfortunate. Whereas Perez has plenty of fuel as per usual. But he does have Verstappen right behind him for company. And I think those soft tyres can probably go to the end. So maybe I do need to switch from this usual strategy I have of going to one extreme or the other. And start focusing more on those softer tyres, those middle tyre essentially. That does seem like a good strategy to use, but I'm usually more comfortable on the medium tyres because I know I can push them, whereas soft tyres it's always a bit touch and go whether you can push them for as long as you think. So possibly something we'll look at in the future. At the moment I feel like this is working out well for us. The Red Bulls are a faster car anyway, so it's no surprise they're catching us no matter what. It doesn't matter what tyre they're on, they're probably going to catch us, so I'm not too concerned if Verstappen gets past us because we still have 6th place, which is still above our sponsor objective and still ahead of both Williams for the moment. Now, Ocon doesn't really have a gap to anyone at the moment where he can drop in, so we may need to go full attack on these tyres. Not on the fuel, though, because he needs to save fuel. But go full attack on these tyres and hope we can find a reasonable gap somewhere for him to drop into. But these tyres will probably only last a couple of laps, maybe even just 1 or 2 laps now. That's what a couple means, in fact, 2 laps, and then we'll have to pit him. We'll do this lap and then the next lap and pit him at the end of that. And then with 13 laps remaining, he should be able to come out on another set of super softs and probably push till the end, to be honest. Shall I pit in this lap? No, we'll give him 1 more lap. We'll use this battery as well on the back straight, on the pit straight even. Try and close up to Alonso as much as we can, so if he has to pit... Although Alonso's holding onto those tyres quite well, so he may not even need to pit, to be honest. Perez has Verstappen right behind him for company, which is a bit unfortunate. Tyres not really heating up as well, and I don't want to burn them, so we're going to have to go to a neutral tyre strategy. Stay high on the fuel, though. He's got plenty of fuel. right behind Alonso. It's a bit unfortunate we couldn't squeeze some more laps out of this this stint. And then when we come out of the pits with Ocon, we'll go, oh, I forgot to pit him. Well, that was a mistake. We'll pit him this lap, go full super soft charge to the end. Parts are looking okay. We may risk a fast pit stop, to be honest. In fact, yeah, we're going to have to risk it. Try and get him as high up the grid as he can. If we get a fast one, we may end up ahead of some of this traffic here. And a couple of guys probably still need to pit. We're going to go full overtake now. And then when he comes out of the pit, we'll have maybe half a lap on full overtake. And then we'll have to save fuel till the end probably for Ocon, which is a bit annoying. It's probably not going to get... Why has he slowed down so much? Is it just his tyres? I think his tyres have gone off the cliff. This is why you pick your drivers when you say you're going to pit them, because this is what happens. So we're definitely going to need this pit stop to be a good one. Please be a good pit stop. It is a good pit stop. It's a really good pit stop, in fact. Are we going to get out ahead of these bits of traffic? Right between them. Right behind Massa, in fact. Which is even more annoying. The fact is a Williams that's going to hold us up now. Perez, though, still ahead of Verstappen, so that's some good news. We're going to have to straight away go to a medium fuel load, maybe even a low one for the last few laps, but hopefully he can save a bit of fuel. Down in 14th place, but on much better tyres than anyone around him. Ocon should be able to make some progress. He's a decent overtaker. Yeah, sorry, I was looking then for a second because I thought he had an injury, but that was from the race that I lost, if that makes sense. It was in this race that he picked up an injury, but of course that didn't record, so I had to do it again. So it probably sounds like I'm cheating, but it did genuinely just record part of a loading screen and that's it. So, you know, I hope it doesn't sound like I've restarted the race because something went wrong. It genuinely was a recording error. So, yeah, I've kind of backed myself into a corner there. In fact, we're going to have to save fuel with Ocon, which is a bit annoying. So he's not going to make as much progress, perhaps. He's managed to overtake... oh, someone went into the pits. Grosjean and Palmer in the pits. So, yeah, quite a few guys having to pit now. Right behind Carlos Sainz, who is really poor tyres, gets straight past him. Which makes a change considering it's Carlos Sainz. Usually that would take 18 laps, but Perez complaining of some problems on his car, but he's going to have to stay out and just live with it for now. Which sounds a bit mean, but I don't want to pit him now. So behind Massa, behind Hülkenberg, both on those soft tyres. Ericsson's in the pits, we gained another place. You know, ideally, if we end up in the points, I'll still be quite happy with that. I think Alonso may have to pit. We'll have a look if he's going to pit this lap. He's not pitting this lap, but he's going to be very slow at the end if he doesn't, which will help us a little bit and hopefully holding up a few drivers. And we'll stick with Ocon for now because he's the one in most of the battles at the moment. So probably more interesting to watch him than watch Perez sort of hold off Verstappen. Because Verstappen's not quite managed to close up as much as I expected him to. Although he is right behind him now as I say that. Maybe I shouldn't have said anything. Maybe that's what we've learned today. Don't poke the bear. But we are behind Felipe Massa, very close behind. This is the advantage of these tyres, and I feel like this strategy worked out better than I expected. Really, I thought this was, you know, we were going to have to go for a medium stint at the end and be quite slow, but managed to push those tyres just long enough to have this stint of just full attack. Or at least the first half of the stint will be full attack. We may need to look to save some tyres towards the end, but I think we should be fine. 5 laps remaining. No, we'll be fine to keep pushing. Maybe the last lap we might have to just cool it down a little bit. But I really want to overtake Massa and get some points if we can, and of course take points off Williams. We still will gain some points over them, I think. Well, Stroll's in 8th and Massa's in 10th, Perez is in 5th, so we'll gain a couple of points on them, but I would like to take that 1 point off them. He has got some battery to use, so we're going to use a little bit down this pit straight, right up behind him, and then use some on this straight as well. And as I suspected, everyone's sort of being held up at the moment by some of the cars ahead, especially by Hülkenberg. Someone's very slow there. Oh, that is Alonso. Alonso's pitted and managed to come out ahead of us. Raikkonen's now right behind us, so it's a bit annoying we didn't jump Alonso, except... nearly managed to overtake him there, but managed to get us back down the inside. Perez still holding on to 5th place though, which is nice. Of course, we are suffering slightly at the moment because we're having to run a low fuel mode, which is costing us some performance, which is unfortunate, but it's how the races go. I pushed a bit too hard early in the race, and now I'm having to pay for it. We'll just wait until it's absolutely neutral on fuel, and then we'll go for a medium fuel mix. Perez has used too much fuel. We'll go for medium for now as well. Maybe on the last lap we can use a bit more. So we're right on the bubble now between what's acceptable and what's not, so we'll stick with that. Raikkonen on the worse tyres than us, but in a quicker car, so unsurprisingly got past us. Stroll is past Hülkenberg, which is even more annoying because that gives Williams more points, so we may not gain anything over them. Hamilton's had to pit again, so I think he's just lost the race. That's weird. I don't know why he had to pit again, whether he had a problem or not. But a bit unfortunate for him he had to pit. Perez still holding on to 5th place. We'll jump to Perez for now. That's Verstappen right behind him. We'll tell him to go push and high fuel load again. And we'll tell Ocon to push and high as well, just for the last lap or two, or lap and a half. Hopefully we can just hold on to our position here, and maybe Ocon can jump someone. We'll jump back and see how he's doing. A lot of cars right in front of him. He can't quite catch them, unfortunately. Perez has a lot of battery to use, so may look to use that in his defence. Maybe a little bit off this corner, and then off this corner as well, use a little bit, just to try and hold Verstappen off as long as we can. Kind of micromanage this, that's the expression I was looking for. Vettel has won the race though, so this is the last few corners now. We should be able to hold off Verstappen till then. We'll use battery now to really power off this last corner, down onto the straight, and we're going to finish 5th place with Perez, a quite comfortable 5th place to be honest. Ocon though a bit more disappointing, down in 12th place. Can he gain any positions on this last couple of corners? Use some battery there, try and get some sort of performance advantage. We'll go overtake and attack. Oh, we won't go overtake. We'll manage to overtake Kimi Raikkonen. Didn't quite get 10th place. Oh, that was so unfortunate for Ocon. He got past Raikkonen right at the end. It looked like he was going to get past the Williams. So I'm still reasonably happy. I mean, we didn't get any points for Ocon, which is a bit annoying. But, you know, that's kind of probably my fault with the strategy. Maybe that wasn't the best strategy to do. Soft tyres held on very well, which is making me start to think I should explore using that middle tyre more often, rather than just going to one extreme or the other. Ocon, in fact, was one of the only people that did a 2-stop. Hamilton did as well, which cost him the race. I think he probably had a problem, to be honest. I don't understand why he would have pitted so late again. So yeah, only a couple of cars doing the 2-stop, and it didn't particularly work out. Carlos Sainz didn't pit at all, went all the way to the end. Don't think that was the best strategy though, didn't seem to help him much. And Sergio Perez, a 1-stop, a pretty typical 1-stop, just on a different tyre. Same as Bottas, but of course he has a Mercedes, so that's not really fair, is it? So let's see if anyone broke any rules. Again, still everyone playing very nicely together, which is unusual in this game. Usually you get a couple of rule breakers. We finished just a 10th behind Alonso. That's so unfortunate for Ocon. He couldn't quite nab that last point. And Felipe Massa got points as well. So, yeah, we managed to gain 2 points over Williams, but that's not quite what I was expecting. I was hoping for a bit more. Nothing really changes in the driver standings, apart from Vettel jumping his teammate. Ocon stays where he is, though. Only 2 drivers, Kevin Magnussen and Jolyon Palmer, with no points so far. Bit surprised Magnussen hasn't got any points. I don't know what happened to my voice there. Bit surprised that Kevin Magnussen hasn't got any points. He's always looks quite sort of there or thereabouts, so that's a bit weird. And of course we stay 4th in the Constructors' Championship, which is good for us. As always, we'll check the mail, do any interviews we have to do, and then wrap up this episode for the 2nd time. I've had to say that. Recording problems. Bane of my existence. So yeah, that race kind of went exactly the same as the last one, except Perez finished 5th this time, not 6th, but last time Ocon didn't get any points either, so I've not really gained much from that. So, a bit annoying, but oh well. So yeah, kind of at this stage of the season, any points are good points for us. No one's morale's being affected. Hopefully our marketability can go up. With a couple of sponsors running out soon, it'd be nice to increase that a little bit more. But we get 2 million, nearly £3 million from that, which is very nicely appreciated. Thank you very much. So yeah, that's worked out pretty well for us. Hopefully we can have a bit more money now to improve the headquarters in the future. So we'll have a look. Nothing really interesting there, just saying about car condition and who top practice. We do have one interview to do with Fuji Television. Sergio Perez was beaten by Sebastian Vettel today. Would you consider bringing him in next season? So I can say I have 100% belief in our drivers. A little early to be talking about silly season, or say we're interested in Sebastian Vettel. I'm going to go for the top one, just so we don't upset our drivers, and because Vettel wouldn't join us anyway. That's just a fact. He wouldn't leave Ferrari to join Force India. So, as I said, that's going to wrap up this episode. Thank you very much for watching. If you have enjoyed the episode, please do feel free to leave a like. It's not compulsory, but it is always appreciated. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.